Okay, everyone, we have to talk about Nano Dimension. This is one of the most slept on AI stocks out there. And not only is it a slept on AI stock that's coming up exactly to the price targets we mentioned in the last video, we said if we can hold above 282, you see we came down and tagged it, we would come up to 322. And that's where we've been seeing lots of resistance. We'll go over what I'm looking at the chart. We're also going to take a look at Stratasys, ticker symbol SSYS. The reason being is Nano Dimension owns a portion of this company. And there's some crazy news going on between these two. We'll get into those in just a second, but there is a potential reversal pattern here on the SSYS chart. It looks kind of like an island reversal or a dumpling top. We'll break that down in more detail. But you can see that these two companies have been watching too much of the hit HBO show Succession, and this all seems like, a crazy season of Succession. Look at these headlines. Stratasys again rejects a sweet and partial tender offer from Nano Dimension as significantly undervaluing the company. Stratasys mails letter to shareholders highlighting the risk of Nano Dimension's misleading campaign. We see Nano Dimension seeks to redress defendants' alleged misconduct, including their scheme to secretly acquire an interest in Nano Dimension. And Nano Dimension exposes another misleading news release that Stratasys board distributes unabashedly, deceiving shareholders and public quoting a respectable judge in a totally out of context and misguided manner. We'll briefly touch on the AI capabilities of Nano Dimension and what their DeepCube AI software brings to the table. Today's video is sponsored by Simply Wall Street. There's a 14-day free trial in the link in the description. Okay, you can use that link in the description to get not only the 14-day free trial, but up to 40% off for your purchase if you do decide to become a member. We'll talk more of them later in a second. You can also email me anytime for a one-on-one personal session, ZachlyTrades@gmail.com. I do those coaching sessions every single week, and we can work on scheduling a time for you guys. As always, the content provided on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. So please be sure to read through the full disclaimer. Now, let's get into these crazy headlines. So we see here Stratasys again rejects sweet and partial tender offer from Nano Dimension as significantly undervaluing the company. Now, this is after they've raised basically the offer to $25 a share in cash. Now, this isn't the first time that they raised their offer, but Stratasys is saying that they're still significantly undervaluing the company and urging shareholders to reject it. Now, the pair have been locked in a three-way battle with 3D Systems Corp. This is ticker symbol DDD, which is also trying to acquire Stratasys, a maker of 3D printers, since May. The board cautioned shareholders that if they offer shares into the tender, they may have as few as 40% of their shares purchased and risk becoming minority shareholders in a nano-controlled company. Stratasys stock was up about 1% pre-market at the time of this post and has gained 80% in the year to date amid the battle for control, while the S&P 500 has gained 18.6%. So, this bidding war between NNDM and DDD has really seemed to boost the price of Stratasys. Now, Nano Dimension already owns a small portion of Stratasys, so this has actually, in fact, impacted NNDM positively. If we take a look here, we see more headlines. Nano Dimension exposes another misleading news release. We talked about this earlier, but let's dive a little bit deeper. And as a rephrase on Professor Albert Einstein's statement, two things are infinite: the universe and the incompetence and deceptiveness of Stratasys board of directors. And I'm not sure about the first one. And you can see here, to learn more about Nano's vision for Stratasys and details of its special tender offer for Stratasys shares, you can visit www.stratasysvaluenow.com. All right. But if we take a look, Nano Dimension owns approximately 14.1% of Stratasys, exposing another misleading news release that the Stratasys board distributes unabashedly, deceiving shareholders and the public, this time by quoting a respectable judge in a totally out of context and wrong manner. Remember, this exaggeration happened before, as a judge in USA has stated, under Stratasys former CEO David Rice, Stratasys used hyperbole and exaggeration, mere puffery, vague, and such obvious hyperbole. Stratasys statements are vague and unreliable. The history of misleading disclosures raises serious questions about Stratasys' present statements. The same executives accountable for misleading their shareholders are still directors at the helm. Now, these are some direct quotes from the Israeli district court judge from July 18th, 2023, translated in English. I emphasize that my position here is without fixing rivets, and when my opinion is not fixed one way or the other, in a way that should be cast on the final decision in the claims, which will occur only after rereading all the pleadings, the opinions, the evidence, and the summaries of the parties. Anything I have said above is in generalities and is disconnected from the rights plan that is in the proceeding in front of me. Does the Israeli law needs poison pill? This is a question that needs scrutiny, including, by the way, an analyst of its purpose and checking other alternatives that the law proposes. I am aware of the fact that the plaintiff, Nano Dimension, attacks in other ways the legality of the rights plan, and I do not express my opinion on this matter at this stage. I would also like to clarify at this stage that a court will naturally be suspicious of a company's board of directors of a company without a controlling shareholder. This is Stratasys, which opposes a hostile takeover bid and wants to instill a share rights plan of the poison pill type. In a situation like this, it seems that the burden of persuasion and is on board of directors to prove that it is acting for the best interests of the shareholders and for the best interests of the company. The court's examination will be checking what the information was before the board of directors, whether it acted to obtain all the necessary information, consult with experts in the field, exercise proper business judgment when the best interests of the shareholders and the best interests of the company before his eyes, and in that order. It seems that the tendency will be to examine not only the due process of making that decision, the starting point is suspicion towards the board of directors that is holding its entrenched horns of the company's management after it was granted belligerent authority in the form of the ability to activate a poison pill. Hence, I think that test from the domains of good faith and fiduciary duty should be used in examining a decision of the board of directors and its motives should scrutinize testing if it has acted in the best interest of the shareholders and the company in this order, and rejecting the tender offer proposal and activating the poison pill. And it goes on further, but bottom line is Stratasys shareholders, unfortunately, it seems that one cannot rely on the accuracy and reliability of news releases and announcement and presentations which are written and published by your board of management, by your board and management. So I mean, it's really insane, and I can imagine behind closed doors what some of these phone calls and what some of these meetings between the two companies and executives and the boards are. It's pretty insane stuff. Now, let's move on from that and go into their DeepCube AI software, which is the deep learning AI for advanced additive manufacturing. It's DeepCube's pioneering inference accelerator drastically improves performance on additive manufacturing hardware. And this allows it to have real-time error detection and correction. So DeepCube applies the same neural network training behind photo and speech recognition advancements to the manufacturing of parts. So this results in improved part quality, increased part yield. It also gives it unrivaled data speed. So DeepCube's proprietary algorithms increase the speeds of data analysis tenfold, making it the only hardware performance accelerator of its kind, resulting in memory usage reduction by overcoming the infrastructure, energy, and memory limitations of previous AI models for low-cost deployment. And also from data center to edge. The leap forward software processing allows AI to take on an active role in edge device control. And then this will also give you guys distributed global automation. So the AI turns machines into nodes, and DeepCube transforms 3D printers in a viable global solution for the demands of Industry 4.0, meaning it's production minded, and DeepCube can coordinate multiple machines across a lab or across the world. And it's learning across the network. So the machines share learning inferences with each other for immediate adjustments in production flow, revolutionizing your manufacturing process on demand, anytime, anywhere. Now, I mentioned today's video is sponsored by Simply Wall Street. So let's head over to their platform and check out Nano Dimension. So here we are on their website. They also have a website and an app, okay? But you basically just type in a symbol of a stock that you would like to look up, and it's going to give you a nice overview, all right? It also has a snowflake analysis, and you can see here that the financial health of Nano Dimension is its strongest point. We'll scroll down a little bit, okay, and you can see a brief summary of the price history and performance. It also goes over some of the recent news and updates. If you take a look at the shareholder returns, it shows you for Nano Dimension, for the industry standard, and then also for the US market, and it gives you a 7-day and a 1-year comparison. It also gives you the price volatility. You can dive deeper into about the company. It'll give you direct links to the website. You can read further into there. Gives you a nice fundamental summary. You see the price to sales ratio, price to earnings ratio. It also breaks down its earnings and revenue. And this is a new beta feature that they've recently added, but it breaks down the revenue and expenses. Okay, so you can see basically their revenue, what they're spending money on, and what their expenses look like. I'm interested to see this as it develops even further. It also gives you a nice valuation tab. Okay, really great charts right here that help visualize, some of the price to sales ratios, some of the price to earnings ratios. These are some of the things that I really like about Nano Dimension, or not just Nano Dimension, but really the Simply Wall Street platform. If you go over here, and we talked about financial health was a really strong point for them, you can click on the financial health tab and it'll go ahead and pull that up for you guys. and you can go ahead and break down some of the key highlights. Look at their debt to equity ratio right here. You can also see, they've only got about $1 million in debt right now at the moment. Okay, they have a total shareholder equity of 1.2 billion and a total debt of 1 million, which brings its debt to equity ratio to 0.09%. Its total assets and total liabilities are 1.2 billion and 49.7 million respectively. You can dive deeper further into Nano Dimension on here, as well as any other stock. Remember, you guys will get a 14-day free trial, and if you choose to purchase the membership plan using my link, you will also get up to 40% off. That puts it at under $200 for the entire year, which to me is very affordable. Now let's get into the charts. We're going to start off here with SSYS, and I mentioned this dumpling top or frying or potential island top reversal. So the island top, basically you have a gap up, right? So we gapped up here, and if we gap down, okay, sometime in the near future, and we come down and we gap down, that's going to form basically the island top reversal, meaning basically that these set of candlesticks right here would be an island top. Now it's also very close to like a dumpling top reversal. Okay, essentially, if we break through this support level right here, there's a very strong chance that we're going to come down and retest some of these previous levels. And if you take a look on the chart, we have a gap here, okay? And then we also have a gap here to fill, and then we also have another gap here to fill. So there's lots of gaps down to be cautious of on SSYS at the moment. We've seen a lot of these crazy news headlines. Now the price, it continues to rise, and currently it's at $20, but Nano Dimension upped their bid to $25 a share. So as people continue to think that that deal is going to go through, right, then we could see the price of the shares creep up further to 25. But if that deal seems like it's going to fall apart, then potentially that's when we could see some of these gaps down to fill that I highlighted here, here, and here. Okay, so I just wanted to break that down. All right. Now, remember, Nano Dimension already owns about 14% of that company. So as that company goes up, it also helps Nano Dimension. Now, when we break down the key levels that we went over in the last video, we talked about pretty much everything on here. Okay. And I'll break down in a quick summary. We had this initial triangle pattern right here. And I went over something known as a look below and fail, right? As a possibility, I said, hey, if we break down from this trend line, there's a strong chance we're going to come down and tag this demand zone. And, we could head lower, okay? But if you get something known as a look below and fail, and we start to come back up above this trend line here, that's actually going to be a bullish signal. And the reason that that is a bullish signal, if you're not familiar, is because this right here is the opportunity for bears to step in and show that they're in control, right? This is the bears' full opportunity right here to really push price lower and show that they're in control of the price action. If they don't take advantage of that opportunity, right, which they didn't after we came down into the demand zone, it shows you that actually bulls are in control of the price action. And you can see we came down perfectly into that demand zone, tagged that demand zone, and we went straight up ever since then. Earnings was largely a big factor of that. But even after earnings, I went over this key level here of 282, and I said, if we can hold above 282 and flip this to support from resistance, then we have a strong chance of coming up to 322, and that was going to be the next target. Now you can see here that that's exactly where we've been struggling and finding a lot of resistance. So we do need to be cautious that we're essentially potentially about to break this trend line here, right? And you see this is a very tight trend line. All right. Not saying we have to break this trend line, but if we do, all right, one place where we could come down is this yellow line right here, which is your month to date anchored VWAP. And that would put the price just under $3.10. So that's a potential area of support if we break down here. And if we were to just basically give up all of these gains on a trend line reversal and come back down to this key area right here, we still want to see if we can hold above that 282. All right. Anything above 282 ultimately is going to be bullish for the stock and lead to further increases chance of breaking through that 322, even if we trade sideways for a while. But if we break below 282, we have 269 and then 257 as support. Now we do need to be cautious of this right here. This orange box is a gap down on the NNDM chart, which is going to be right around 248 all the way down to about 242. So if this thing really starts to lose a lot of momentum, or we see a bear cycle come into the market, it's very possible that NNDM could come down to that $2.40 price level. So you do want to be aware of all of the risks, all right, especially on a technical analysis side. And then you want to know, what it is that you're investing in when it comes to the company. All right. And that's why we went over some of the AI software and, some of the struggles between Stratasys and Nano Dimension. One thing I do want to point out here on the technicals is our MACD. You can see this red line here is very close to curling over. If this curls over and crosses down below the yellow line, then that's going to be known as a MACD exit signal. And we could actually see this stock break that trend line and see a move down towards 282. So I definitely pay lots of close attention to the daily MACD right now. All right, that could give a lot of clues. Now, the MACD is what's known as a lagging indicator. If you take a look at your leading indicator, the RSI here, you can see we've been hovering at these overbought levels really since for the entire month of July, continuing to go higher in these overbought levels. So it wouldn't surprise me if we do get a breakdown. We did break a very important trend line here on the RSI. We broke our initial bearish divergence trend line back here. So we had this big push up here, but then we had a drop in the RSI, creating these lower highs. You can see we finally broke through that trend line. And if we were to come back down and retest it, that would be very healthy and bullish for the stock. So thank you guys for watching today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more.